Hello, everyone. Nomad here. Hi. I'm here joined with Kane and Rob. For a rare little special stream today. As most of you guys know, Bash in Berlin was yesterday, which was the big WWE PLE. So as we always do, whenever one of these events happen, normally I record my review, and then Kane gives me his ratings, and Rob gives me his, and then I push them all into a video and edit them together. But I figured, since me and Kane have been talking about doing wrestling podcasts again for umpteen weeks now, I figured we would do these reviews live. And then I would just turn them into YouTube videos later, and then I can turn some of these things into like YouTube shorts and stuff like that, and TikToks and stuff like that, and sort of diversify the content a bit. Anyway, we're going to start, as always, with the reviews here. Why is my green screen so blown out? I don't know. We do these reviews. I rate them from 0 to 10. Rob typically does A through F. And then I translate that. For me, 10 and a 9 is an A, 8 and 7 is a B, 6 through 4 is a C, 3 and 2 is a D, 1 and 0 is an F. I guess we'll start. What did you guys think of the event as a whole?
Would you like to go first, Rob? I'm finding my notes.
So the event as a whole, I have no real complaints, except maybe some matches were a little too slow. I mean, I get it. This felt more of like a storyline PLE, like getting over just storylines and stuff. But
you know what's kind of funny about that, though? Mm-hmm. Everyone online that usually criticizes WWE for being story over wrestling have been extremely complimentary of the wrestling in this event, and oddly liked it, which is weird because normally I'm so used to like Twitter and everyone being extremely hypercritical of WWE.
Twitter? What?
Huh?
I've never heard of on Twitter people being hypercritical of something. That's crazy.
But it's like, but you know what I mean? Like it's I don't know, the connotation around this event, everyone is like parading it as like the best PLE of 2024.
What?
Yes, and it's coming from accounts that usually like criticize and bash.
Those are bots, dude.
No, it's straight up the accounts that I've been following or looking at or seeing on my feed for 2 years now. Like, there's an account called Collision Cowboy. Mm-hmm. And he goes by Collision Cowboy because he's an AEW's fan. He loved this fucking event. And he is, like, exclaiming that WWE is back because of this event. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what's happening anymore. But I loved it. I mean, I would say it's definitely top 3.
I think someone enjoyed too many libations over All In Weekend, if that's the case. But
yeah,
you know, it was a decent event. You know, it's pretty good.
As a guy that that just recently started watching AEW over the last like month, 2 months, I can see where his defense is coming in from a wrestling standpoint, because AEW doesn't really focus on the storylines like that all that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a different style of
Yes.
presenting pro wrestling for sure.
Yes, but I mean, to say that this was like top tier, I don't know about that, man. I mean,
well, I think a lot of people,
even excluding AEW from like the equation, and like other non-WWE promotions, I'd argue it's probably not even the top 3 of the WWE this year.
Well, I think a lot of people are going off of the fact that in their opinions, the right person won, and
that's fair. Yeah.
And the stories were advanced appropriately. Of course, you've got your Liv stands flipping the fuck out right now over the last 24 hours, but they've been pissing down their legs for the last 4 weeks. So
that inverse Riptide was beautiful.
It was, and we'll get to that in a second. So obviously, we're going to open up with the opening match, which was WWE Universal Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. I love this match. I thought that this was one of the very few matches where a slow and methodical and drawn out opening sequence worked. Because you could tell that both of them were pulling their punches in K-Fob, like in the match. They're not really hitting each other with the kitchen sink. They're testing each other out because they're best friends, right? And you expect it to degrade eventually, and the whole entire time you're waiting for Kevin Owens to go heel and attack the knee. And he did once, and then he went for that apron powerbomb that he only does as a heel, and then he stopped himself. And that cost him the match. I love that storytelling, but I thought when the gloves finally did come off and these two started wrestling, this might be the best match of Cody Rhodes' reign, in my opinion. I thought the way that him and Kevin Owens worked together, I thought the chemistry that the two of them had was excellent. I mean, Kevin Owens, I can't remember the last bad match Kevin Owens had in general, but I feel like this match, given that it was face on face, given that it was a slow beginning, really makes you think of how bad Solo Sikoa is that he got a bad match out of Cody Rhodes. Because that's been the only bad match in this entire reign. But I love this match. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Okay. I went a bit lower than you. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a high B.
Yeah. So for me, I thought the match was really good. I think it was probably match of the night, in my opinion. I did really enjoy this match. I thought it was the best work of the night, start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that maybe it went on a little bit too long, and it could have ended like a sequence earlier instead of doing the 2 crossroads and here's a stunner, then a weird swanton, then another cross. Like they could have maybe skipped that end bit and just got to the finish. I think it would have been fine. It would have been a bit less clunky. The knee situation, I thought at times was like a little bit silly, but like Cody Rhodes in general is a little bit silly.
True.
And he plays it off well. And I really liked the way that Kevin Owens plays it as the only man who understands what pro wrestling is. That's his character. He just watches pro wrestling and knows how it works. So
True.
He's like, wait, no, if I do this, I'm a bad guy again. I don't want to be a bad guy again. So he just kind of like has to stop himself from being an asshole, which he normally is, which is quite an entertaining dynamic to see. And yeah, honestly, whilst I understand why this match wasn't the main event, I thought this was probably the best in-ring action of the night.
We're giving it an 8, right? I guess that's kind of the average now?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. That's fine. We'll put it at an 8. I heard you guys talking about the international crowds. Were you like comparing the crowds?
Yeah, we were kind of like saying that the crowd was really good for this Cody match, and they were like really good for the Gunther match, but they were kind of like a bit more tame than other international crowds in between those 2 points. I still think they were good.
Yeah, I initially thought that something happened with the sound, because like certain people would come out and you wouldn't like hear anything. But then, like, when they're in the ring, all of a sudden the crowd volume just got really loud, and it wasn't that, like, funneled in crowd volume. So I was like, what is going on? But, I mean, I just kind of let it be.
Yeah, it could very much be, like, I don't know much about the German wrestling scene, other than I know WXW is a big thing over there. So I don't know if that's just what a German crowd is like, maybe, because different crowds act different ways. Japanese crowds are very quiet, for example. UK crowds are very much the opposite and will just take the piss most of the time. So it's kind of like maybe that's just they're a bit of a middle ground. But when they were on it, I think they really added to the matches that they were lively for.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed by the crowd overall. I thought, as far and maybe it's just being spoiled by the international crowds that we've had recently with these international PLEs, whether it be over in the UK with you guys, or in France, or in Canada. The crowds have always been hot for every single match, and Berlin, Germany it wasn't good for most of this entire event. They did get loud during the Rhea Ripley match, but that was for the one particular spot, which we'll talk about. And then outside of that, they weren't even that loud for that. So I wasn't too impressed by it personally. But they can't all be bangers. Speaking of can't all be bangers, the women's tag championship match between Bianca and Jade versus the Unholy Union. I think the crowd killed this match. I thought the match was actually pretty good, all things included. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And the reason I gave it a 6 out of 10 wasn't that the match was bad. It's that because Triple H has kind of dropped the ball on telling stories of these women tag titles, there wasn't really much to get invested in here. It was just a match. A good match. I thought Jade looked better. I thought Bianca looked amazing. I thought Alba Fire and Isla Dawn worked great together, which we've always known they could. I still don't think either one of them could survive on their own anymore. I think Alba Fire used to be able to. I don't know if she can now. But I thought the match was really good. I didn't think it could possibly be more than a 7 or 8 overall in the end. But it just... Yeah, I feel like this match was lacking story. And also the crowd being completely dead during the entrances and the match as a whole absolutely ruined any chance of this match being above a C+ for me. So, I gave it exactly what it could be, which is a 6.
Go ahead, Kane.
So, I actually went a bit lower because I didn't really like this match that much at all. I thought it was quite a boring run-of-the-mill tag match. Didn't really get much intrigue. It's your standard affair where it's like, oh, they're going to work over the one face, then they do a hot tag. It's about 3 minutes of actually good wrestling, and then congrats and stuff. And the result was like a foregone conclusion, but let's be real, that doesn't really matter. I think a lot of the matches on this card were foregone conclusions, and that's okay. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't even think they necessarily played with it like they might have done in some other matches.
Predictable winners does not always make a bad match.
Exactly, yeah. I think in this case it was maybe to the detriment because they didn't really play with the idea of, maybe they'll turn, maybe, there'll be that rift between them that'll give the Unholy Union the win. They didn't really, it was like a very standard affair. Triple H realized, oh fuck, we're not in Scotland anymore, we don't need to keep it on the UK lasses, let's actually go back to the superstars we care about now, which is how this women's tag division has felt for a very long time in general. I give it a 4 out of 10. I didn't think it was good.
What about you, Rob?
I gave this a low C, so 5 out of 10.
Okay. Well, and, 654, that's where it's going to go.
Yeah. And to be honest, like y'all were saying, this pay-per-view is full of predictable winners. This was the one match that I thought that I could see them potentially retaining and not giving it back to Bianca and Jade. Just because I felt like their title reign was, to me, it just felt short, lackluster, and flat. But maybe if they got this big win over who people consider like the powerhouses, or the powerhouse tag team, that it could, I guess, rejuvenate or carry it on into Survivor Series, Bad Blood, whatever the next one is. But, I mean, the fact that Bianca and Jade won, I wasn't really surprised either. I just thought this would be one where they'd be like, oh, everyone else is a predictable winner except this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, I feel like this match could have been better had it not had such a bad crowd. I think ultimately Jade didn't look bad, and I think that was the most important thing here.
No, I think it was definitely the best she has looked. It's the most confident she's looked, for sure. I just think maybe they could have done a bit more with the match structure.
Yeah.
With her.
I did like the finishing sequences with the near falls and the breakups and stuff like that. There was almost a botch where Alba Fire almost got pinned too early, but she realized that Isla Dawn wasn't going to get there in time and kicked out on her own. Glad someone is intelligent, because I've seen more botches that way than anything. To be fair, I feel like Daniel Priest was knocked unconscious. I don't think that man was on planet Earth at that time.
Yeah, his eyes looked...
My man was in space at that point.
Yeah. But moving on to I feel like also Drew McIntyre's music was supposed to kick in, and it didn't. Speaking of Drew, next on the card here, we have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And listen, I know everyone is going to bitch about the stipulation because it's a stupid stipulation.
Well done, though.
But a lot of the online community, like, again, the people that usually bash and belittle WWE, were saying this is probably the best the stipulation's ever looked because of how CM Punk and Drew McIntyre played it. It wasn't a race to hit the corners. It was we're going to beat the shit out of each other until I drag you to all four corners. Because they played it like that, I actually liked the stipulation on here. Because Drew McIntyre tapped. And the match would have been over in half the time. And that's not what these two would have needed. I thought it was the best CM Punk has looked in a very long time. I'm glad to see CM Punk get the win here. Again, predictable finish. You know round 3 is going to be at Bad Blood. It has to be a 2 out of 3 match. So you knew that CM Punk was going to get his lick back here. But I thought that they actually played to the stipulation perfectly. CM Punk inadvertently kissed Drew McIntyre's balls because that's where that bracelet was hiding, and he kissed it at the match. So that's something you guys can think about tonight. Anyway, I gave this match a 9 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. I understand from the wrestling standpoint people can talk and maybe people had low expectations because of the stipulation, but I thought these two made it perfect. It was the best this match could have been. This match was never going to be a 10 out of 10 classic, but it hit just below that because of the stipulation. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I loved it. I thought the story was perfect. The emotions were perfect. CM Punk looked great. Drew looked great. 9 out of 10 is what I gave it. I know you two probably rated it lower, but that's where I'm at.
So yeah, as Eric said, there's a lot of people out there who kind of like don't like the strap match stipulation, and I'm fucking one of them. I despise the WWE version of a strap match. I think it's fucking awful. Like, just have it be a match where people are tied by a strap and beat the shit out of each other. That's all it needs to be. You don't need to make it a game of red light, green light. It looks stupid. Like, I actually appreciated in this match that, like, at points they were like, I could tap the turnbuckle, but actually, no, that's dumb. I'm just gonna beat the hell out of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a decision because probably Punk seen this and was like, this is dumb as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has been in actual strap matches. And it's just like, it's a really dumb version of the stipulation, and like, it's not the only one that I have a problem with. Steel cage match. But that being said, I do think this match was very good. I do think they played to the stupidness of the stipulation very well. Punk sneakily tapping the turnbuckles behind Drew McIntyre's back as he's stomping around the ring, confidently tapping each one because he thinks Punk's out. Very funny. Got a big laugh out of me. Punk looked amazing in this match. It's the best he's looked probably since before his first injury in AEW. Because that man had a bad time in AEW for multiple reasons. But it's the best he's looked like just physically since then. That table bump he took was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Looked great. I could watch this feud all day, every day. I said that last month. I say it again this month. I'll probably say it a month from now. I give this an 8 out of 10 in spite of that shitty stipulation.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I gave this an 8 out of 10. The best part of the match for me was when Punk was quote unquote unconscious, being carried around by Drew.
It was so good.
And he was slapping the turnbuckles. That was great. The only, I guess, Punk looked pretty all right given his age and everything. The only gripe I have was there was a spot in the top right corner where he did his traditional run, hits the knee, and then hits the bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that one time, and I was like, okay, cool, it's good to see him do that again. That's dope. And then he did it again like 5 minutes later, like in the same spot, and I was like, all right. And then he went to go do it in like another corner, but I was like, why'd you do it 2 here and then 1 here? You know what I mean? I thought that was a little weird. I thought maybe they like missed a spot or they were going back to it or something.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a big fan of the strap matches, but I do agree with you 100% with the instead of just run around, race each other, tug each other to the four corners, it was nah, you fucked with me and my family. I'm gonna beat the living tar out of you, and then I'm gonna claim my victory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
predictable win in the end.
I do like the four GTSs though.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
for the four corners,
Yes.
that was a great spot. Or
That was
great
cool.
detail, I should say.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat you. I could beat you now." And the reason I liked it was because, and again, if the focus on this match is going to be the stipulation, it was a situation where it's like Punk could have beat him in any stipulation. He hit him with four GTSs. You're not getting up from that. He could pin you. He could make you submit right now. He could tap these four corners. He could exit a cage. He could have done any. No, he could have rolled you into a casket. Like anything, any stipulation you had put them in, CM Punk wins in this match because of that ending.
Getting the visible submission as well, I think, was a nice touch as well. I was like, okay, let's get interested.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
I was a little shocked that McIntyre tapped out to the sharpshooter, right? Yeah, like that kind of caught me off guard. I mean, because you know he does the anaconda vice and all that, so I thought maybe like that would be something, and
Mm-hmm.
you know show tongue or show CM Punk showing his tongue, like all that, like he has done in the past, like where he
You
makes
underestimate the
gruesome-
love Phil has for Bret Hart.
Yeah.
So what would
I mean,
you?
it's the best in the world, honoring the best there was, the best there ever will be.
So what would you rate the match, Rob, out of 10?
I would give that a 7.
7. So
Yeah,
B, like
so
a so
B.
B. Well, so 987 is going to put it at the 8 category here for the three of us combined here. But yeah, great match overall. So moving on to the next match, a very controversial match as we discussed earlier. Liv Morgan and Dom versus the Terror Twins, Rhea and Priest, in a mixed tag match. So, as a massive Rhea Ripley fan, I'm going to be biased. I love this match, mostly because I could see Priest and Rhea beat the shit out of Judgment Day every week and still enjoy it. I like Liv. I like Dom. I like Liv Dom. But if anyone thinks that the two of them would beat Rhea and Priest straight up, is delusional. Dominic has never been built to be a strong character. Neither has Liv. She's always been the technical one out of all of her groups. She's the speed, she's always been paired with power. So why would you expect her to be able to beat Rhea one-on-one? It's not logical. The Judgment Day is filled with Carlito, JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan. The way they have built Damian Priest over the last 12 months, and Rhea Ripley ever since she came up to NXT, yeah, the two of them are going to beat the 5 of them every single day of the week. Until they finally start getting the upper hand, Demon Finn starts coming out, and they need to go to Jey Uso, which they've been teasing for about 3 weeks now. Especially if Sami Zayn is going to be gone for 3 months. It makes sense to pair Jey with them at this point. But I thought this match was great. I loved the storytelling in the match. I actually thought that the Dom and Priest combo was great. My major issue with this match, Liv Morgan felt like an accessory. All that being said of what I said earlier, you still have to let Liv Morgan get some offense in. Even if it's off a distraction or something like that, she's basically an accessory in this match. This match could have very well just been a Rhea and Priest versus Dominic Mysterio match, with Liv Morgan being a manager, because that's all she really was. That's not great, which is why I gave this match an 8 out of 10. But I loved it. I thought this match was great, and again, I can watch the Terror Twins beat the hell out of all 5 Judgment Day members all day, every day. But I cannot wait for Demon Finn versus Priest at Bad Blood. That's going to be a good match. And I'm pretty sure we're getting there. I think we can all agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Kane? What did you give this match?
So, I messaged you last night, and I was like, this might be like a thing I have to sleep on because I didn't know what to make of it. And this was the match that was kind of like, what did I think about this match? Because I genuinely I didn't really know. I was I was a bit conflicted with it because it was a fun match, It was like I had a good time with it. It's always great seeing Rhea and Damian do this stuff. I love Dominic Mysterio. I think he's fantastic. I think, as you mentioned, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. That thing that I couldn't quite place my finger on, which was Liv kind of did feel like an accessory in this match. That she was just kind of there. She wasn't really impacting the match too much. She had her moments, and I still think that crucifix bomb thing that she does is incredible.
Oh, it's fantastic. That move is great.
That honestly should be a finisher in my opinion. I said it last month, but it's it's really good. And it really fits the stature of a character really well. But I don't know. This match just kind of I feel like I've seen this on Raw about 4 times now in 2 weeks somehow. And it's just I don't think this did much to advance that other than a couple spots here and there. So I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10 because it was good, but I don't think it was necessarily needed on this card. I think it was here kind of just to fill some time and hit that match quota that Triple H seems to love right now, the takeover match style.
And of course, for the turnbuckle spot where she once again hip choked Dominic Mysterio and allowed that man to live my dreams once more.
I mean, listen, the last time she did that, he joined the Judgment Day, so who knows? Maybe he'll turn on Liv tomorrow or something. He's back with a.
I mean, he's Eddie Guerrero's kid, so he lies, cheats, and steals.
It's no. Just put Jay with them. They've done too much teasing of Jey Uso joining the Terror Twins. So I feel like that's where it's gonna go.
I just side note. I just wonder when Jay is gonna go into the Bloodline story.
That's not bad after Bad Blood. I feel so. Here's how I feel like that's gonna go. Obviously, it's a little bit unrelated to Bash in Berlin, but the way I think that's going to go, you're probably going to get Roman Reigns versus Solo at Bad Blood. I think Solo's going to win that match because the Bloodline is going to cost him. That is going to cause Roman Reigns to... That's going to be when Roman Reigns realizes he needs friends. And that's when the build for Survivor Series is going to be him rallying his troops. He's probably going to go to Sammy if Sammy's back by then from his stem cells. He's going to go to Jay and Jimmy. He's going to, probably end up... He may very well grab Cody Rhodes. And you'll have, Roman, Cody... You'll have that group. I wouldn't be shocked if The Rock doesn't come back for that build. Survivor Series is going to be an interesting build, but I don't think that Jay is going to start getting back into there until after Bad Blood. I think the build to Bad Blood is going to be with Rhea Ripley, Jay, and Damian Priest.
I feel like we need a Jimmy Uso back first. I think that guy's just like an Uber driver now or something.
He's been nursing an undisclosed injury, which I don't know what that means, and it's a little bit concerning since we have no idea what he's been having.
Because obviously they wrote him off a while ago now, and I'm like, okay, but he hasn't even been mentioned since then. Really, I'm like, oh, he's just being Thanos snapped away.
He was mentioned last night, or Friday night. He was mentioned him on SmackDown when Solo gave his promo saying that he was going to fight the winner of Cody versus KO. He's like, I took out Jimmy, I took out Paul, I took out Roman. There's no one else in my way. I'm fighting whoever wins between Cody and KO. That's what he said. I hope that match doesn't happen, but we'll see.
I was going to say, please not again.
Listen, Solo has fallen so far from my graces, as you will find out in a little bit, especially after what he did, the SmackDown that I attended live. That thumb merchant can go fuck himself. Anyway, what would you put this match, Rob?
So, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I thought this was a glorified squash match. I think it was a C+, so like a 6 overall.
So once again, we've gone 3 consecutive numbers, so it's going to go 7.
It seems to be a fairly consistent like trend right now in terms of.
Yeah, I'm highly overrating these matches. Rob is underrating them, and Kane has nailed almost everyone.
Real grabs.
And I don't know. I didn't like that Liv was just kind of there. Like she was just a little side piece, to Dom.
Yeah.
On every pun intended. But that, I think Kane called it the crucifix bomb or whatever.
That's what it's called.
The inverse riptide, whatever. I thought that move was fucking dope, dude.
Oh yeah.
My god, that move.
No, that's
so
the thing.
good.
Liv Morgan has a bag, but I don't understand because, normally, I don't understand what it is with WWE and restricting the heels, but it always feels like the heels can never pull out their good moves because they want the faces to look better. And it's
unless
like
they're Baron Corbin for some reason.
Yeah, unless they're Baron Corbin. But it's like, even look at Rhea. Rhea was pulling out moves she's never done before in this match. You saw it last time at SummerSlam when they fought. Like, Roman Reigns is a historic example. I can't wait to see what moves that man brings back when he's actually wrestling as a face again. Because he was extremely restricted as the tribal chief. He was supposed to be calm and calculated and methodical and slow and plotting. That was his entire style because he's this elite chief. Now he's not. I can't wait to see what he pulls out now. But it's just like, I don't know what it is with WWE just restricting the heels' bags. But now you see Liv Morgan being restricted to 5 moves. I don't know. But speaking of a match that had far more than 5 moves, Gunther versus Randy Orton. Kane, I really can't wait to hear the two of your reactions to this because Kane is a Gunther super fan, and if AEW signed Gunther, Rob would just stop watching AEW. Like, that's... I can't wait to... I might just shut up and let you two debate this one because Rob hates Gunther and he's your favorite. For me, I thought this match was excellent. I thought this match was as good, if not better, than the first match that these two had. My Spotify stopped playing. I thought this match was just as good, if not better. I thought that Randy Orton being the heel here, which is really interesting. Gunther being the face was something that I should have expected being in Germany. But it was so interesting to see because I didn't hate it. But it was so interesting to see Gunther actually get his ass kicked for once. Because I feel like this match accomplished three things. It accomplished Randy Orton being a heel again. He teased that punt kick, if you noticed it. Very briefly, but he teased it. But he did a lot of heel moves. He was more of his slow, methodical, cerebral Randy Orton that he hasn't been recently. I thought, while it took 10 years to set up, which is why I gave this match a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10, is because there was a section of here that was at a fucking snail's pace. I don't know if Gunther was, like, resting an injury or whatnot, or he got the wind knocked out of him, or if Randy was like, I'm just going to take 10 years to set these stairs up so I can drop him through this table. The spot was amazing. The reactions were amazing. But it took 10 years to set it up. But that's heel Orton. That's just how he is as a heel. I thought it did really good at cementing that Randy Orton is still at his peak. He can still go at 100 miles an hour. Matter of fact, he probably looked better in this match than he has in a while outside of the WrestleMania match against Logan Paul and KO. And 3, there's no denying that Gunther has beaten Randy Orton. That was a decisive victory. There's no controversy this time. And his reign has already been cemented because he knocked off a future Hall of Famer. I thought this match crossed off all the check marks as far as the story is concerned, and I thought the in-ring action was absolutely superb, minus that 10 years to set up that one spot. So I gave it a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love this match. I love the finish.
I'd actually like to hear Rob's thoughts first on this, because there was a lot of praising, and I feel like if you go into me talking about Gunther after you talk about Gunther, anyone who remotely doesn't like Gunther is just going to be like wanting to put their head through the screen. So maybe we should go to Rob first.
Yeah, Rob, tear Gunther down so you can build him back up.
So I'm actually gonna side with Gunther a little bit here. So I've always said chops don't make someone good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Gunther, Ric Flair, you know, the choppy boys, whatever. I feel like the
Conga
length
Loa.
of this match basically took away from Gunther in the power of his chops, or like how deadly they are.
Well, to be fair,
Because-
Randy Orton attacked his arm. He attacked his hand. That was the whole story of the match. He knew that the chop was his biggest weapon. Let me go ahead and injure his hand.
Gunther
And
has another arm.
But it's his dominant arm. He took out the right arm, which is his dominant one. Which is why, like, you could see him every time he was chopping, he was like grabbing his hand. He wasn't putting the full force into it, and that's why at the end he chopped him with his left arm and not his right, and made him spit all over himself.
Yeah. But you know, Orton, he still has that slow, methodical style. You know, even back during his Evolution days, and I felt like the pace for the match was good. I just thought the match overall carried a little bit longer than I would have liked. Now that stair spot, that felt like a freaking eternity, dude. I don't know if there was something communicated between the wrestlers of like, oh dude, I got the wind knocked out of me, like give me like a few minutes or something to get the cobwebs shaken off, you know, all this. But I mean, Gunther, he looked pretty okay, milking his arm and everything, especially when he was trying to go to the clothesline from hell. When he was trying to do that those couple times, and then Orton would just block it. You know, the second he'd raise his arm, like I thought the detail was pretty good. Overall, I'd give the match a 7 out of 10. It wasn't the best of the night, but it clearly wasn't the worst. Orton to me is one of those guys where he can just do no wrong.
True. All right, Kane, are we about to go a big, middle, low again?
We sure are. Kind of. Because I did technically give this like a 7.5, but really it's more than 8. I just couldn't really decide fully. So, to me, Gunther is a perfect wrestler. He just is. That dude, like, he's big, he's mean, he hits people hard, he makes you kind of believe in a babyface. In this one, he was playing the underdog character, which is very different for him, and I still think he did it in a very interesting and, like, engaging way. You know, that arm was being targeted because that's his main weapon. Pretty much all of his offense uses that arm. And then you'd find whenever he would do anything with that arm, even the most tiny thing, he'd be selling the arm. He does a clothesline, sells the arm. Does a chop, sells the arm. Does a punch, sells the... And it's like, it made Randy Orton's offense feel impactful, which I think goes a long way in kind of building a match and building that tension and getting the kind of a viewer to believe in it almost, you know, to kind of forget that they're watching pro wrestling for a moment. I think that's what Gunther does really well, is that he can kind of do that with almost anyone. I say almost anyone because Matt Riddle exists. And then the issue I had with this match, which stopped me rating it high, because like usually when it comes to these shows, the Gunther match is usually the highest rated match from the other card because I just like the way he works the most. I think this match went on a bit too long, and I think it wasn't necessarily that the length of the match was a problem. I think that Orton was gassed the fuck out by the end of it, and he hit it quite well, but he went back into like the mid-2000s slow, okay, I'm tired, I don't really want to be doing this right now, Randy Orton. Because there's two sides to slow Randy Orton. There's methodical serial killer, this is cool Randy Orton, and there's I can't be fucked, I'd rather be smoking weed and playing Elden Ring Randy Orton. And this was very much the latter, I thought.
Randy Orton had the best heel move of the night, and that was stalling for the wave.
I know. I will say I did crack up when he did the wave along with the crowd. Like, the fuck's going on? I think when he saw the crowd doing that, I feel like you could see a thing in his brain switch off. Like, oh boy, here we fucking go. It's gonna be one of those nights. Yeah, you know, I think that pace just kind of killed it and kind of dragged it down. And then, you know, I like a submission finish. I think more people should do a submission finish. And whilst I'm fed up of everyone just passing out instead of tapping out, because, you know, it's okay to tap out. That's fine. Like, I don't mind a pass out spot here and again. It's just 99% of people pass out instead of tap out, it feels like.
And
which is annoying.
I think because, and again, this is a wrestling trope, but unfortunately it is how it's viewed amongst a lot of fans and traditionalists. If you tap out, you're quitting. If you pass out, you never quit. I think it's a bit of a, like, and I can get the mentality behind that, where it's like, you know, in some cases, I think it works. You know, like the most famous one is Austin in the sharpshooter. You know, he passes out because he just refuses to quit against Bret Hart. He's like, fuck you, that much. And but it's like, it's fine to tap out. You can be like, hey, this match needs to end so I can fight another day. That's fine. You know? And, like, especially for a world champion, there shouldn't be, like, fault in tapping out. Well,
I can get it for Orton. It's just, I think that added to the slow, plodding nature of the end of this match.
So the reason I was okay with it, and Gunther's last 2 wins have been a pass-out spot.
Yeah.
But I think both of them have worked for 2 different reasons. One, it worked for the Damian Priest match because Damian Priest is reaching out for Finn Balor.
I think it worked a lot more with Damian Priest.
He wanted to get Finn that he was not going to quit. And he didn't want Finn to see him quit, so he passed out. And just the scene of him reaching out for Finn Balor's throat as he fades, beautiful. The reason I like the Orton pass out is because he had to do it 3 fucking times. I would have been okay with Orton tapping out. I wouldn't have judged Orton had he tapped out. The man literally hit you in a move you thought you escaped twice, and you could not get this fucking anaconda off your neck. So I would have been okay with him tapping, but I also think, But I also think that at the same time, if someone chokes you out 3 times, you're probably gonna pass out too. It was a realistic spot rather than a dramatic spot, so that's why I'm okay with it. Now, if this becomes a trend, my idea might change a little bit, but it does still protect Orton.
I definitely protect Orton. I think maybe protects him a bit too much, but I think the issue with it is because if he's gonna like pass out being choked 3 times, it should be fairly quick, and it felt like it like dragged on, and then he did the slow like I'm fading, I'm gone, you know, pass out. Whereas like if you've watched like a UFC fight or something, if one of those dudes like locks in a thing like that, and then locks it in again, that dude's fucking gone. He's like gone pretty damn quick. And it's so it's just like, it's not the worst issue in the world. I just don't think it helped the final third of this match. And that's why I only gave it an 8, because it's still Gunther, and he's still a perfect wrestler.
Absolutely.
Gunther to Kane is Sami Zayn to Eric.
Yes, Sami Zayn can do no wrong. There's no such thing as a bad Sami Zayn match. I hope. Listen, can you imagine how good
Seth Rollins?
Can you imagine how good that man is going to be when he comes back?
I like that we have opposing views on the, because I'm not a Seth Rollins guy, and I'm a Gunther guy, and you're not a Gunther guy, but you're a Seth Rollins guy.
Yeah, but like for me, I cannot wait to see how Sami Zayn looks after these stem cells. With what the stem cells did to freaking
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio,
just a god amongst men. Still doing this at 50.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to like every single wrestler take 3 months off and get stem cells. Do it. Look what it does. Like Ivar's doing it. I can't wait to see how that. Can you imagine how that man is already doing crazy stuff for his weight? Can you imagine what Ivar's going to be doing with these stem cells? Oh my god, dude!
I was going to be hitting
God, dude,
Ricochet
I
630s.
love Ivar so much.
Dude,
He's fucking great, man.
I honestly think the Viking Raider gimmick restricts him. I do, and I like the Viking Raider gimmick, but I think it restricts him. Overall, we gave this PLE a 7.2, mostly because of that unfortunate 5 that's dragged this down overall. But hey, a B PLE, we're not going to complain about a B. You know, this is what I feel like at this point. A 7 and above is what we should expect from these PLEs, I think.
I was going to say, I think a
international
7
ones, yes.
kind of sums this up pretty much perfectly, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and there's nothing wrong with the 7. This wasn't a bad
Nah.
event. I thought that you know what this event could have been, it was.